Ed Sarpolus is on the other end of our AT&T line right now from Target Insyghts. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Well, good morning to you. And I heard there was a little spat between Christie and Bruce Springsteen in the last several months. So we'll be interested to see if they patch it up.
Oh, really? What are they fighting about?
Oh, who's going to play at whose concert or who's going to show up?
Well, at least they got important things to argue about, right?
That's true.
Brian Kelly says to MERS News, I'm not in a position right now to start thinking about the next election. We just got done with one, and there's a lot of work to do. What does he really mean when he says that?
He's looking for people to support him right now. I mean, if you're around the state, the Attorney General, Bill Schuette, is basically racking up supporters, building a base out there, doing fundraisers all over the state. And Brian Kelly has to figure out how does he break through that logjam that sort of Bill Schuette has been building up now since he became AG. Bottom line, Bill Schuette's been running for a governor since he became AG. But you got to look at, you got Candace Miller out there, you got Senate Majority Meekoff, and Kelly's figured out all these guys are out there building and raising money. What does he do? And I think he hasn't figured that out yet.
How high is his mountain to climb if he decides to run?
It should be a high mountain. He has not dominated the airwaves like previous lieutenant governors like Dick Posthumus did, even John Cherry for Governor Granholm. Brian Kelly's been more seen the conservative Tea Party side of the party, and that's not necessarily where the money people are at.
Is he in a definite shadow, too, of Governor Snyder?
No, I think Brian Kelly has focused on his issues in his family. He's very, very big statewide on autism and his own children. I see him around the state. He does a lot of good. He's very visible. He's independent of Snyder, but he has not created his own very visible image that typically takes a candidate would do.
He's a very, very young fellow, too, in political terms, true?
Yes, he is, but we have a lot of examples of where young people like Governor English start off very young, from state rep, senator, on to governor. So you have people to pass. I think it's a personality issue. I think if he decides to do it, he's a very aggressive campaigner. The question is, does he really want to do it? We don't know that yet.
If Jeb Bush were elected president, can you imagine a scenario under which he might make Bill Schuette the nation's attorney general?
It is possible. What you're going to find happening, as in the past, is that you put the finger. Bill Schuette is obviously on top of the list, but the question, do people want to work with him? You usually find out in these picking for higher office, they decide who's the best people want to work with. And we don't know how Bill Schuette is perceived nationwide yet.
Okay, so we talked about the lieutenant governor. Let's talk about the vice president. How do you feel about Joe Biden if he's truly mulling the idea of running for the primary nomination against Hillary Clinton?
I think he's a very serious challenger. He's got supporters out there. The question is how much money is the Clintons sucked out of the process yet before Joe Biden gets in. And the debate over the weekend is that as the Clintons people try to smoke him out by leaking these things out there purposely to see where he's at and see if he bites. We know that his son, prior to his tragic death, encouraged his dad to run. And with the next couple of weeks, the Bidens will be getting away from vacation to make that final decision.
And you say he's a serious candidate, a serious threat to Hillary Clinton?
If he does run, yes. He is well-liked, and he knows how to campaign.
Speaking of debates, Donald Trump is now saying, well, I'm not much of a debater. And it was, to me, eerily reminiscent of Dick DeVos when he had the debate against Governor Granholm and started calling her a Harvard-trained debater and basically said, don't expect much from me. But the nation is expecting a lot from Donald Trump. If nothing else, they expect him to be a showman on Thursday, don't they?
Well, they do. You got to understand something. He needs for them to remember his expertise is they attacking him first. So he can't say that he's going to attack first because remember they're only going to get 6 to 9 minutes per person max, and they're only going to be able to say 2 or 3 things. For best for Donald Trump, lower expectations. And wait, remember, if someone hits him, he already said if he's hit first, he's going to hit back. And I think he's setting them up. If he's anything, he's smart, and he doesn't want to be the one to go throw the first bomb because then he looks stupid that way. If they attack him, he'll be there.
Would your strategy be to ignore him, attack him, make fun of him? What would it be?
Well, if you're Jeb Bush, you don't want to go after it because you don't need to. Because anything that happens to Donald Trump, you're going to be a beneficiary. The people lower on the ballot, the Rick Perry's, the Chris Christie's, are all going to have to show that they're different. I think the dark horse in this race was Governor Kasich, who's at the bottom, was potentially getting in because he went from nowhere to somewhere in less than 3 weeks. So the interesting thing what Kasich's going to do on the stage.
I thought he had the best line. Well, it wasn't him, but I guess it was one of his strategists who said this is like trying to prepare for a NASCAR race when one of the drivers is drunk, in reference to Donald Trump. You just don't know what he's going to do. But Kasich then went on to say, I don't want that anymore because when I'm talking about somebody else and not myself, I'm taking away from my own mission.
That is correct. But Kasich, you got to remember, in less than 2 weeks, he's gone from less than 1% to up to 5-6% in the polls. So he's really the dark horse on Thursday.
How's he doing that?
Spending money. He spent over $2 to $3 million in less than a week up in New Hampshire to move his numbers up in the polls. He's well connected, and he's been spending money in interesting places, and that's why he's been moving up in the polls.
Why do you think Scott Walker is polling so high?
Because he's perceived now as the real, true conservative. The bottom line is, because Bush's team is sort of on the side with Donald Trump, Scott Walker can move up there. And one-on-one in meetings, Scott Walker comes up very amenable to the public. The question is that long-lasting? And we'll see that here pretty soon.
Does Thursday's debate mean a whole lot?
It does for the people at the bottom of the ticket, of the debating ticket. The one who could be hurt most on the stage will be Donald Trump, obviously, because he's the one at the top. If he makes a major mistake, then he begins to fold, and then we see what happens with the votes. Do they go to Scott Walker or they go to Jeb Bush?
Yeah, Donald's got to be careful not to say that North Korea is not under domination or something goofy like that.
Yes.
But and somebody's got one for him. You got to know that somewhere, right? Someone thinks they have a silver bullet. I would guess.
Well, he's got to look at the things he's already said during the campaign about breastfeeding. I mean, you're going to hit up women about not breastfeeding, things like that. I mean, to you and I, we thought we've already dealt with those issues. So he does have the chance to put his foot in his mouth, just like Rick Perry did 4 years ago.
Maybe he's Teflon, though. He seems to be able to say whatever he wants.